Hey everybody, it's Geekopolis. So, I didn't see this dog shit movie, Captain Marvel, as I'm sure you can tell from the title. But, mainly because I didn't want to support the movie because, well, the agenda's a little in your face for me in the trailers, so I want to let people go see it, and I wanted to get their opinions on it first. Would it even be worth it for me to go and see this movie? Now, at some point, I will see it and do my own personal review on it. Do like a play-by-play of the movie, totally spoiler, and really give you an accurate description of the film itself. But what I have done is I've seen reviews of other people that I trust to give accurate commentary, and wow, there's some points that I've heard from all these people that I've watched and I've listened to, and I've read synopsises of the plots and such. Wow. Okay, so this movie, first of all, I'll do some good news, bad news. Good news is the movie is still, despite the attempts by Rotten Tomatoes and other critics' rating systems to purge people who have negative comments or views of the movie, it's still only at like 50%. And that's with that massive effort to get people to purge all the, like 50,000 people off of their rolls, or tens of thousands of people, So, that's good news. It's still not doing great in terms of score. Bad news, they're taking people off the score. They're deleting reviews, which is ridiculous. It's to protect this shit movie. And, again, I haven't seen it, so some people might say, well, you haven't seen the movie, how can you say it's shit? Okay, the same way I didn't need to see The Last Jedi to know it's shit, is the same way I can tell you this movie is shit. And when you eventually do see it, well, lo and behold, I'm right. Fucking shocker there. And again, when I watch reviews of people I trust, and they are telling me, yeah, this movie, I think the best review the movie got was, it's a mediocre Marvel film. I think that was the best thing that I heard. And visuals here and there, some of them are pretty good. Other than that, like, I guess Samuel L. Jackson was pretty good in his role, but again, he's a tremendous actor. So, also bad news, because there's a couple bad news to get through. This movie, unfortunately, is doing financially pretty well. I haven't seen the numbers yet, officially anyways, because I want to wait till the weekend's over so I can get a weekend box office number, and I'll post those whenever I get it, or I'll make a video on it. Now, here's the thing, though. Right now, it's looking like it's on track to do well. But if we get the word out that this movie is awful, and I'll explain to you why, because I did at least read, the synopsis of the film, and I know what happens in it and such. I don't know frame by frame, scene by scene. That'll come eventually later, or whenever I get to it. Eventually. It'll be here eventually. So, what I encourage anybody watching this to do is share this around, share other YouTubers that have criticized this movie, and not just the ones that are just sucking from the teats of Disney, okay? Real, honest people that just have their opinions, share it around, because if trash movies like this do well, if movies that are so in-your-face feminist, and there's a part in this movie that I heard from multiple people. I haven't seen it yet, and I hope that they're exaggerating, but this is, I'm going to say verbatim what they said, different YouTubers, and when I was reading the synopsis, it did say something like that. It wasn't word for word what they said, but whatever. Anyways, or was it? I can't remember. It was a couple hours ago. So, yeah. oh God, this politically correct type of movie. Okay, first of all, remember a little bit back a few days ago where there's an article. I'm sure a lot of people didn't see it, but it said that Captain Marvel is a feminist movie. Okay, well, once I hear the words feminist movie, that about turns me off quicker than seeing a pair of old saggy tits. So, yeah, no, I'm not happy with that. I am very disappointed that Marvel is going that direction, and we as a fandom need to band together and say universally, this is not the type of content or entertainment that we wish to engage ourselves in. And if you continue along this course, there will be financial repercussions. That is the only way to get these people to listen. And I guess further bad news still, but this is kind of obvious at this point. The movie sucks. It's basically it. Not really so much, well, it's bad news and good news. It's bad news because, well, if it makes money, then they're going to be emboldened to make more shit-tier content. And two, it's a bad movie. You know, you don't want to go and see a bad movie. Like, I want these movies to succeed. I would like to, when Captain Marvel first was announced, I was excited, okay? Because Marvel had done very well so far. You had a few boring movies, or not necessary movies. For instance, Thor 2, aside from introducing the ether, the Reality Stone, it really didn't have any significance. That's a major plot point, but the movie in itself was kind of eh. I mean, I can remember, like, the movie, but I heard from a lot of people that it's just so forgettable. Sorry. So, I mean, what was in some other ones? Ant-Man, again, it was, you don't need to watch it, really. Like, that one didn't have any really significant overarching plot points. Same thing with Spider-Man Homecoming. I mean, these movies were fine, but they weren't really necessary. And I feel like that's a lot of the problem. Black Panther was another one. That's what I feel like with Captain Marvel. That's how I feel about this movie. It's like, it's not really necessary. And first of all, I want to preface why I personally believe that this movie is doing so well. It's because it's so close to Endgame. If it was not this close, if it was not the movie right, say this movie came out right after Endgame, it would not get even close to the money that it's making now. The reason people are seeing it, and this is, I believe they did this on purpose, so that it would draw people in to go see the movie, so like they feel obligated to watch it before watching Endgame. And that's why I think it's doing as well as it is doing, not on the merits of the movie itself. Like if it was an independent movie outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would not be able to stand on its own 2 feet. So, yeah, this movie is as disappointing as I was afraid it would be, which really sucks because, again, when it first was announced, like, oh, cool, a movie, and what I thought to myself was, oh, it's a woman. Okay. I'm sure that'll appease some of the people that say it's too sexist, and I was like, then the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh no. They're not going to make it a point of contention with the movie that she's a female, right? Like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to be that stupid, right? No, they're exactly that stupid. No, yeah. That's exactly what they did. From what I can gather, her acting is as wooden as it is in the trailers. Which, again, acting matters. So, okay, script matters more than anything else. So, I mean, you gotta really figure out what the actor is working with. But if the actor is a bad actor, then they're gonna have a hard time, even if the script is amazing. So with a script as weak as Captain Marvel is, from what I can tell from the plot, to me it was actually so boring. I'm only remembering specific points. Like, for instance, what was even the plot? Like, she's helping in the war between the Kree and the Skrull. That's the plot. Like, she gets her powers, and she has to, like, I guess her character arc is breaking the glass ceiling, and I swear to God, that's what it feels like to me, and that's fucking annoying. Literally, that's, I think, her character arc, like, which I'll get to in a minute, why I definitively believe that that's what it's supposed to be. But, again, she doesn't have much of a character, and this whole... Again, like, the plot was boring, her acting is stiff, it's not a necessary film, and she seems... Well, she is and she isn't a Mary Sue. She's like a pseudo-Mary Sue, where... And again, that'll be explained in a moment. Where she is powerful. Like, really, really powerful. For not much of a reason. Like, she does, like, do some training here and there, but it doesn't feel like she earns it as much. I don't know, like, I mean, certain characters, like, I get it. Like, say, the Hulk. Okay, I get it. Like, that's his whole thing. He's really strong. The gamma radiation changed his cells, and the more angrier he becomes, the stronger he gets. Okay, that's fine. I get that. Like, you can make a case and say, okay, well, Hulk's the same way. He's just really strong for, like, no reason. Okay? Fine. But the problem is, in Hulk's movie, The Incredible Hulk, which is canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he fought Abomination. And he almost lost. He was getting beaten heavily by Abomination, and he barely was able to defeat him. Captain Marvel, on the other hand, from what I can tell and what I've read, it has no major adversity. Like, she has, like, she has no weaknesses. She bulldozes through all of the enemies in the film, like fodder, from what I can tell. And these are classic Mary Sue attributes. She did do some training, so I can't say she's a complete Mary Sue, but she is pretty close. And again, you can make the case for the Hulk in a similar way, but at least he had a challenge in the movie. Like, he had a foil, and he was as overpowered as he is. He didn't feel that overpowered in a lot of cases where he was being hunted by just the military. Those sound cannons or something that were, like, really pinning him down in the gas and stuff. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but yeah, like, it felt like he could be defeated, where Captain Marvel, it feels like there's nothing that anybody can do to defeat her, which is a bad trait in heroes. If you're a hero, you want to feel like your hero is in danger, like they're a mortal person, like they're not some kind of immortal, godly being. I mean, unless that's, like, the premise of the story that you're, watching. Like, for instance, One Punch Man does that really well. Like, he's gonna just shatter any opponent he faces. But that's the point. Where in Captain Marvel, I'm not watching it for this woman to be the best, most powerful, greatest thing in the universe. She has a very bad case of the Ray. That's what I'm gonna call it. Any character that's just overly powerful because she's a woman, I'm gonna call it the Ray. She has the Ray. Where she is just, for one, her personality from, like, I think I watched, like, 3 or 4 videos. Everybody was telling me, or not me personally, but in the video, they were saying she's very bitchy and moody and just kind of, like, arrogant, conceited, condescending. Just all these attributes that you would not really, that wouldn't endear people to your hero. And again, if you're trying to get rid of the whole stereotype that women are bitchy and bossy when they get in power, it's probably a good idea to not make your character bitchy and bossy when they have power. You know? I'm just kidding. Marvel, they're at a point where they're like, we're too big to fail. We can start pushing this shit. I think that's actually what it has become. That probably is the issue. Where they went from being a small company at the beginning, after, at the very beginning, like with Iron Man, when that movie took off, and they just kept snowballing more and more and more and more and more, then they got to a point where they're like on equal terms with something like as big as Star Wars. And Star Wars, when they got so big, they felt like they could not fail, and they can put whatever agenda they felt like in their movies. And again, they got away with it for the first one, and the second one, sliced the fan base into multiple different pieces and factions. This potentially could do the same thing. This movie is nowhere near the level of travesty that The Last Jedi was, don't get me wrong. I would watch this movie on repeat for an entire day, and then watch The Last Jedi again. But this movie has a lot of similar tones. And now I'm going to discuss that scene that I've been hinting at and foreshadowing. From what I know, and I keep telling myself, please do not let this be true. I just hope they're trolling me. But I read it something along the lines of, she breaks her limits, her inhibitor or something. I think she's wearing it or something like that. And she just takes it off or something like that. I can't remember the right sentence. I don't have it with me right here, but whatever. Should have wrote it down. But I think the line goes, or the metaphor as it is, like, she's fighting with one hand tied behind her back. Let's see what I can do when I'm unrestrained or something like that. That is a clear metaphor, an obvious allegory for the feminist agenda. That is the most blatant case of, hey, look, I'm a woman and I'm being oppressed by this collar called patriarchy. Or whatever it was, I can't remember. And now that I've broken it off, I am far better than any man ever could be. And that's what I'm getting from that. And that's not what I should be getting. I should be getting, oh, my character, this character that I'm really enjoying because of all their great attributes and struggles and trials and tribulations that made me like this character for who they are, and I can identify with the reasons and motivations that they are doing things. They just unlocked their own potential, and now we're going to have the strength to beat the person that they couldn't beat before. A bit cliche, but it works. And I'd be fine with that. But that's not what happened. What happened was, okay, she broke it, and now I felt like that's a fucking allegory, a metaphor for oppressive patriarchal society keeping women down. If it wasn't for the evil white man, the women would be a prosperous people. They would probably be run by women. That's what I take away from that. I'm like, oh God, no, Marvel, Jesus Christ, no, don't fucking do this, dude. It's not going to go the way you think it will. You're gonna get your shills, you're gonna get your normies, but then you're gonna get the wrath of the people that despise not only the identity of politics, but shitty cinema. What's wrong with just wanting a good movie? Besides being, I'm very personally anti-SJW, as I'm sure most of you can tell. But I also just like good movies. Now, what's good to others might not be good for me, and vice versa. But when I'm watching a movie, depending on the genre, I either have to look at it in a couple of different ways. If it's a comedy, all I'm looking for is, does it make me laugh? And two, how stupid is it? I don't like stupid comedy. Well, I like vulgar comedy. If it's vulgar and stupid, then they can counteract each other, but I don't like strictly like stupid, like Dumb and Dumber. Like, that really wasn't my kind of movie. Like, I wasn't a fan of that. A lot of people were. So you see what I'm saying? For movies like this, like superhero movies, it's formulaic enough where it's not that hard to make a good movie. But I look for things like, is the hero virtuous? Are they a righteous individual? Can I see myself in this person? Do they have struggles? Do they have obstacles to overcome? You know, is there a diametrically opposed villain in the movie that really challenges the hero to become better than they were at the start? And does the movie end in a way that makes sense? And most importantly, is the movie consistent with its lore and the world building in which it's engaging in? If not, if any of those things aren't in there, then it's a problem. If the last one isn't in there, it's a big problem. See the Holdo scene from Last Jedi. I have a video on that, which I explain it. You should go check it out. So, honestly though, this movie was disappointing because I was afraid that they were going to do this, and they did. Now, I'm going to, like I said, do an actual review of this at some point, but I just wanted to get this video out while the iron's hot. And I've heard and seen and read enough to know, yeah, this movie is a fucking disaster. Well, perhaps I'm being too hard on it because I can't stand the SJW things. The movie, there were parts that people have said was decent. I can't think of any others off my head, but I'm sure there are going to be. And the only complaint that I really have is this. So help me God, do not have Captain Marvel be the one to defeat Thanos. I do not care about anything else she does after. As long as she does not ruin Endgame, I am fine with her character. It can be stupid because after Endgame, I'm pretty much done anyways. I might go see Spider-Man. But other than that, Far From Home, other than that, I'm not really interested in the rest of these movies. And with all the talks of making her the face of the MCU, yeah, no, which kind of rattled some of the cast. You know, they weren't too happy about that, so maybe she's out, perhaps, because of her nonsense. I don't know. There's a lot of going-ons when it comes to Marvel. But let's just hope this movie is not a sign of a trajectory yet to come. Anyways, everybody, thanks for listening. Share this video around, please. Just get the word out. We cannot let shit-tier content like this continue to exist. And thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Vicky Out.